Yeah, we're all good to go, Chair. Thanks.
Lovely, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Councillor McPherson and I am the Chairman of the Licensing and Appeals Subcommittee. The other members are, and if Councillor Mrs Lorraine Shaw, if you could indicate.
Hello, I'm Councillor Lorraine Shaw from RDC. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Mrs Newport.
Councillor Lisa Newport from Swain Park and Grange Ward.
Thank you. And the committee's legal advisor is Mr Chris Irwin. Before we start, can everyone present that everyone present make sure they have switched off their mobile phones? The purpose of today's hearing is to hear an application for premises licence made by 21st Century Licensing on behalf of the applicant, Craftwerk Beers Limited, in respect of the premises known as Craftwerk, the former public conveniences, Crown Hill, Rayleigh, Essex, SS6 7HY. Please could the applicant and representatives introduce themselves? If you could, thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, officers and panel. My name is Paul Richards. I'm representing 21st Century Licensing as a licensing consultant on behalf of my client.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Reynolds. I'm the owner of Craftwerk Beers, and I'm the interested party in taking over that building.
Thank you. And do you have any witnesses you would like to call today?
We don't, Chair.
Thank you. Please could the council's licensing officer introduce themselves?
Hello, I'm Caris Brooke. I'm the licensing officer at Rochford District Council.
Thank you. And do you have any witnesses you'd like to call today?
No.
Thank you. Have all parties received the agenda and report for today's hearing? If you could indicate. Yeah, I can see everybody nodding. Thank you.
Chairman, I think you just need to check the interested parties just to see. I think there's a couple of people on the call just to introduce themselves as well.
I do apologise.
Right.
I have only got the screen with as many people that allows. So let me just go back. Please could the interested parties present introduce themselves? So again, members of the public who are present, if you could unmute and introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name's Russell Brown. I'm a resident on Crown Hill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. And have you got any witnesses you'd like to call today?
No.
Thank you.
Chair, could we just ask the interested party if they're able to put their camera on as well? I think it's just better for the evidence when it comes to
my
evidence.
computer doesn't have a camera.
Right.
I can switch to another one but it doesn't work very well. So,
Chair, I think that's fine in the circumstances unless you have a different view.
I don't have a problem, fellow members. No, thank you. Okay. So everybody else indicated. Mr. Brown, have you also received all the papers for today?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Lovely, thank you. The committee will now follow the procedure as set out on the procedural note, agenda item number 3. Please could all parties be reminded that they each have up to 15 minutes only to present their case. Please could Miss Brooke summarise the application.
Thank you. Yes, so this report introduces an application for the grant of a premise licence made under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003. The application was submitted to the licensing authority by 21st Century Licensing on behalf of the applicant Craftwerk Beers Limited and refers to the premises to be known as Craftwerk, the former public conveniences, Crown Hill, Rayleigh. The premises to which the applicant relates comprises of the former public conveniences with the intention to operate as a micro pub and craft beer vendor. The premises is located on Crown Hill between Rayleigh High Street and Station Road. The application is for the following licensable activities with the times and days. The activity is the supply of alcohol, both on and off sales, for Sunday to Thursday, 12 p.m. to 11 p.m, and Friday to Saturday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. There's also late night refreshment from Friday to Saturday, 11 p.m. till 12 a.m, and the provision of recorded music from Friday to Saturday, 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. The application has been assessed by both Essex Police and the Council's Environmental Health Service. Both have agreed conditions with the applicant, and they can be seen in Appendix C. We have received 8 representations. 6 were from local residents and 2 from local councillors. The representations raised concerns in relation to the following licensing objectives, which was the prevention of public nuisance and public safety. A copy of the representations received is in Appendix D. It is proposed that the subcommittee resolves the application to be determined according to one of the following options. So either to grant the application subject to such conditions as are consistent with the operating schedule, modified to such extent as members consider necessary for the promotion of the licensing objectives, and any mandatory condition that must be included. Or to exclude from the scope of the licence any of the licensable activities to which the application relates, or to reject the application, or subject to paragraphs 11 to 13 of the Licensing Act 2003 Hearings Regulation 2005 to adjourn the hearing to a specified date, or arrange a hearing to be held on specified additional dates where members consider this to be necessary for their consideration of any representations or notices made by a party. And that concludes the report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We now go to members, if you would like to ask any questions. Councillor Mrs. Lorraine Shaw, would you like to go first if you've got any questions for the licensing officer?
Sorry, Chairman, I was muted. No, I haven't any for the licensing officer. Thank you.
Councillor Mrs. Newport?
No questions for the licensing officer, thank you.
Thank you. I believe if officers can confirm, our member of the public is allowed to ask a question.
Chair, if permitted and for clarification purposes only, but I wouldn't imagine there'd be anything at this stage.
Okay.
They can confirm.
I haven't got any questions.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. And our applicant, have they got any questions of the licensing officer?
We have no questions, Chair.
Thank you. I have just one question. Perhaps the licensing officer can advise. Is Pub Watch still in place?
Yes.
Wonderful. Is there still the provision, I think it's called Bob, banned from one, banned from all?
Yeah, they're still in place within the Pub Watch.
Wonderful, thank you very much. We now move, and I just need to refer to my agenda for next, is to the applicant, please, if you now have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I'll hand you over to my client, who just wants to tell you a bit about himself and the application.
Thank you. Just before you proceed, I don't know if anybody else is having problems. You sound quite quiet. Yeah, other members are nodding.
Is this any better? I can speak louder.
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name's Stephen Reynolds, and I'm applying to take over the former public toilets in Rayleigh and turn them into a little craft beer bar. About myself, I come from Rayleigh. I went to school in Fitzwilmark, and I managed the pool prior for a small time in Rayleigh High Street, and I've been managing pubs for a decade now. Then me and my wife opened Craftwerk in Southend, and it's done really well, but I've always wanted to open one in Rayleigh because that's kind of my hometown. That's still where my family comes from. We're trying to make a just a kind of nice safe haven, really. That's what the one in Southend's become. It's aimed at a more mature and affluent clientele. And that's, I can't think what else to say, really.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, so we're here today to determine the application for Craftwerk Sphere in the former public convenience in Crown Hill. As my client said, his wealth of experience in London, in Rayleigh, and currently in Southend. The premises that he currently operates in Southend is called Craftwerk. He's been here 3 years and there's never been any issues since him coming in. The licensing authority has carried out visits and he's always been compliant. He's been engaging. During the COVID pandemic, he was fully compliant with all the regulations that he needed to do to the satisfaction of the licensing and environmental health. We have submitted this application on his behalf to convert the former public convenience at Crown Hill to a craft beers. As my client said, is currently his customers, patrons are of a mature, affluent type who enjoys a nice beer and a quiet glass of wine and Prosecco. Since submitting the application, the police authority, environmental health, added a number of further conditions which the licensing officer stated, which is on Appendix D, which would further assist my client to promote the 4 licensing objectives, along with the conditions that was attached to the license. The police has emailed and agreed those conditions, and the environmental health in relation to noise, and they feel confident that the conditions offered up and agreed will help to negate any noise issues. As I said, my client has been in the Southend location for the last 3 years. The premises is on a busy street, but there are residential premises above the commercial premises. And there's not been any complaints or reports about noise or any misconducts or any mismanagement of the premises. My client is a local lad from Rayleigh, and he's fully aware of the former convenience, and he relishes the opportunity to convert that disused building into a nice place where you sit down and have some alcoholic beverages and to partake in some hot and cold food. With the application, he submitted some plans, and with the plans are on page 4.25 of the report, which shows that he'll be removing some of the foliage, paving the area to have tables and chairs outside, which will allow his patrons to sit down and enjoy the ambience of the premises and surrounding areas. There has been a number of objections, and majority of the objections are they mainly concerned about customers spilling out onto the pavement. Now, a lot of these objections came in possibly before they had the opportunity to actually look at the plans that were submitted with the application. As you can see on the plans on page 4.25, the area will be removed, the foliage and walls and tables and chairs, which will be aesthetically pleasing to the building, which will allow patrons to remain on the premises and partake in non-vertical drinking and have some hot and cold food that will be supplied from the premises. The noise impact, again, I'm not saying that there isn't an issue or possibility of issues of noise from revelers, but they are not from my client's premises, as he's not started there. His clientele is, as they said, is a mature, affluent audience, which is 30s plus. It won't be attracting the young teenagers. The beers and the beers that will be on sale are craft beers, which are not popularly obtained. The pricing of that, they will start at around £6. So it's not like I won't name any beers, but certain beers at a lower end of the market, which are purchased and sold cheaply and in abundance. These are good crafted, award-winning beers that he will be bringing to the premises. Very much in line with what he offers here at the Craftworks in Southend. Again, he's looking to replicate his success of the current locations in Southend and continue a long trouble-free establishment where people will have an alternative to go, where they don't want to drink a pint of beer watching the football and partaking in loud singing. It's a nice quiet environment. There will be no loud live music. It will be all background music recorded and just played to help the ambience of the premises and the environment. The music will not be heard beyond the boundaries of the footprint of the premises, and my client will regularly be patrolling those boundaries and ensuring that not only the music cannot be heard from those boundaries, but also his patrons are not outside of his boundaries partaking in any form of antisocial behaviour. My client here now, he engages with the residents. He wishes and does currently operate alongside other commercial premises and along with residents. And he welcomes residents to come into him. Majority of them are his customers, and they pop in for a quick drink, say hello, and then move on. He'll engage and he'll make any adaptations within reason that will help negate any problems or any concerns. My client is a professional, hardworking publican who has run several establishments, not only in Essex, but in London and the home counties. And he submitted this application to take over this disused building, which is 90 years old, and he wishes to allow the building to continue being used, possibly for another 90 years. It is an important building. Everybody in the area is aware of this building because it's an icon. And as my client says, he wishes, if the license is granted, he will be working hard to actually make that premises the crown in his jewel. Now, as I say, there could well be, and I'm not denying it from the representations, that there are noises. Many of the objections have stated that the current premises in the area will discard of their bottles late into the night. But as you can see, the conditions that were agreed with the police to combat noise and disorder and with the environmental health to combat the public nuisance. You can clearly see that condition 1 to 9 clearly deals with public nuisance. And they are from not disposing your waste after 9 o'clock, not using the outside, the doors and windows of the premises, should be closed at 9 o'clock. However, there will be people still in the grounds and the music will be even lowered, so it will not be heard. My client, again, would patrol and ensure that his clienteles are not beyond the perimeters of the building or of the land, and they will not be standing vertically drinking in the street. This is something that he discourages at his current premises, and he has discouraged in many other establishments that he has run and managed. Along with the conditions that was agreed with the responsible authorities, there was a number of conditions attached to the application. And I truly believe that with these conditions and all these conditions, with the experience of my client, he has the ability, if the license is granted, to make a success of this premises and actually be a positive premises which will engage with the residents, and hopefully the said residents who are objecting now will become customers of the premises.
Sorry to interrupt, Chair. We've lost Councillor Newport, so we're just waiting for her to be reconnected. If we could just pause with the evidence for a second. Oh, you're muted, Chair.
Sorry about that. If we can just pause then and wait for Councillor Mrs Newport to join us. I believe Mr Reynolds and Mr Richards, you've got 2 minutes left, okay?
Chair, just to clarify for other people who didn't know, that when I look away, I'm actually looking at the agenda on a different screen, so I'm not looking. Okay, thank you.
I think we've all got that
Yeah.
problem, short-sightedness.